What? Smoking all my dragons, divine, righteous, almighty greats, overachieving, never slacking. So my heart was broken a little bit because I did like it was like 30 plus minute reaction to the Lake Region in Durham by, I think it was Rick Steve, but the video got blocked. That was supposed to drop yesterday, right? It got blocked. I thought it was up around 2. I'm excited. I go to check my phone. I'm like, yes, I know they're going to love this one. That video, the whole video got blocked. That hurt. But it's okay because we're going to keep the boat sailing, you know? So, with that being said, I am back and we have 15 best things to do in Stratford-upon-Avon, if I pronounced that correct, and this is Shakespeare's Birthplace. So original link will be in the description. I got my pillow. We getting comfortable. Let me make sure I don't shake stuff up. And let's dive into it. Let's see what Shakespeare's Birthplace is about.
Welcome to Stratford-upon-Avon. Located some 100 miles northwest of London, this is the beautiful birthplace of William Shakespeare. So, to see or what not to see? That is the question. So, in the words of William Shakespeare, pray, follow, and I'll show you. Stratford-upon-Avon was founded in the 7th century AD by the Saxons when they invaded what is now Warwickshire. The town's name might look and sound a little bit unusual with all its hyphens, but it's actually a mixture of Celtic and Saxon words. So Strat means street, ford is a lower part of a riverbed, and Avon was a Celtic word for river. So literally Stratford-upon-Avon means the street that leads to the fjord to cross the river. Welcome to the birthplace of William Shakespeare. Born on the 23rd of April 1654, William Shakespeare was born here on the top floor next to a little fire. Now it's lucky that William Shakespeare survived because his 2 siblings that were born before him actually passed away before they reached the age of 1. The reason why is because there was an outbreak of the plague. And it is believed that the only reason why Shakespeare survived was because his mother took him out into the countryside to protect him from the outbreak. Inside the building you can see where Shakespeare grew up, where he had his meals, where he slept, where he played with his siblings, and also this beautiful garden where he could play. There are 2 interesting things that I've learned while being here, and that is the origins of 2 idiomatic expressions that we use every day that you may not know the origins of, and they both relate to sleeping. So have you ever said to sleep tight or to hit the hay? Well, sleep tight actually comes from the mattresses that were used at this time, back in the 16th century, that were made up of hay and straw and any sort of other stuffing that was soft. So this is the mattress that people would sleep on. And during the night, obviously, all the contents would move in shifts. So before going to bed, you would have to hit the hay to distribute evenly the contents of the mattress so you wouldn't have all these lumps and bumps. Now, sleep tight relates to what was supporting the mattress, which was ropes, and the ropes would be bound throughout the woodwork on the bed to protect the mattress from falling through and to keep it tight. So in order to sleep tight, you would need to tighten those ropes so you wouldn't have an uncomfortable sleep. This is Shakespeare's new place. This is where Shakespeare lived from 1597 until the day he died in 1616. This isn't the house that he lived in, but this is the area where it was. His house was destroyed 250 years ago, unfortunately. But inside there is an exhibition on what they think the house looked like. The grounds here are very beautiful to walk around. They've got a whole bunch of commissioned pieces by the American artist Greg Wyatt, and each of the statues represent either a character or a...
She's just around all the legends. I would be soaking that energy up every step of the way.
passage from one of Shakespeare's works. And within the statues or the sculptures, there are like these hidden faces. So there's a lot of hidden symbolism in each of them. So yeah, I encourage you to take your time and wander around and have a look at each of them. Really beautiful. At the entrance to the garden, there is a sculpture that is inspired by the epilogue from The Tempest, where the main character is giving up his powers. Now, Shakespeare wrote this play in 1616, which is about 3 years before he passed away, and it's sort of considered like his final words and his sign-off, saying, "This is it, I'm done." For 19 years, Shakespeare lived at New Place, and it was the only building that he actually bought for his wife and his family. He lived here with his wife and 2 children, Judith and Susanna.
I can't imagine the mind of someone like Shakespeare, right? I mean, if his mind was a book, I don't think we could ever finish reading it.
Fortunately, his son Hamnet died a year before he actually bought this building, so that's...
But in a sense, his mind is a book. I mean, how many scripts? You know, like, I can't even find the words. I mean, people like that are just, they're in history forever.
sad. Shakespeare paid £120 for New Place, which is an obscene amount of money for the time. Considered that a schoolmaster's salary was only £20 a year, and Shakespeare paid £120 just for this area. Now, this was the most expensive and the largest property in Stratford-upon-Avon at the time, and it was located just opposite his school which he attended, so we're going to head there now. Thanks to the success of William Shakespeare's father, John Shakespeare, who was a glove maker, he was able to send Shakespeare to this schoolroom here behind me, adjoined by the Guildhall. He attended the school between the ages of 7 and 14, between 1571 and 1578. The school is still in use up until 11 AM every day, and the top student every year is chosen to replace the quill in the hand of Shakespeare's monument at his grave.
Are you nervous? No. Oh, thank God.
The fact that the school is still around after all this time?
I'm a bass, I'm a bat, I'm a bounce. It's a memory game, isn't it? It's how much you remember. And remember, I'm using a pun there. Memory is not seated up here. Memory is seated just here, where your heart is. Yes, because we say you learn things by heart. So if you learn that here, you'll always.
I would love to learn from people. I love people like that. Like the way he just explained that, you just feel it. It hits you. It hits the heart, right? So it's like what he just said, like, I'm going to remember what he said. I'm going to remember this specific part of the video because he hit my heart. Wow. Just that clip right there impressed me. That's amazing.
So we're inside Shakespeare's classroom where there is still a class happening. They're teaching a bit of Latin and a bit about the curriculum that Shakespeare would have learned when he attended this school. Now it's interesting because in the next room is where Shakespeare would have sat. This room here is fairly recent, but when Shakespeare sat next door, he would sit on what were called forms, not benches. So that's how we get the origins of being in first form, second form, third form. So it's important to note that at this stage there were no girls in class, it was just boys. So it's so inspirational to be here in the classroom where William Shakespeare learned about all the classics, the Romans, the Greeks, all the literature that inspired him and his works throughout his 20-year career. Located directly below the schoolroom, which is above me right now, this is the Guildhall, and this is where William Shakespeare's dad was the bailiff or the town mayor. So when Shakespeare was 5 years old, he saw his dad in office. He was the mayor for just 1 year in 1568. This is Holscroft. This is where Susanna, Shakespeare's daughter, lived in 1607 when she married Dr. John Hall. Now in Shakespeare's will, he left a new place to Susanna, so when he passed away, she moved in with her husband. Anne Hathaway's cottage, which is about 500 years old and located just a 20-minute walk outside Stratford-upon-Avon. Anne Hathaway lived here before she married William Shakespeare, and the two got married when William Shakespeare was 18 and Anne Hathaway was 26, and she was already pregnant, so they had a bit of a hasty wedding. You can visit the cottage and go inside to see its original.
Shakespeare liked them older women, I see. Okay. We can relate there, Shakespeare.
Original furnishings, as well as the romantic garden outside. Located 3.5 miles or 5.5 kilometres outside of Stratford-upon-Avon is Mary Arden's farmhouse. Mary Arden was William Shakespeare's mother, and she lived here until she married John Shakespeare, William Shakespeare's father. They got married in 1557. There are two buildings on the site here, and the building behind me is called the Palmer's Farmhouse, because up until the 2000s they thought that this was where Mary Arden lived with her family, but it was actually the building next door. While the building behind me has maintained its traditional Tudor look, the house that Mary grew up in, which was built by her father Robert in 1514, doesn't look quite as traditional. It's gone through a few different changes over the years, but let's go have a look inside. This here is Mary Arden's house, so let's go take a look inside. Just behind me is a really low doorway. Now the reason why it's so low is because in the 1600s it was very expensive to cut through any structural beams. Otherwise they would have had to pay extra to implement new beams. So this way they'd cut halfway into it without compromising the structure of the building. So there you have it. Mary Arden's farm is a working Tudor farm, so it's very much a great spot to bring families and spend the day. It covers 20 acres and there's lots of farm animals that you can interact with. They've got horses, cows, donkeys, rabbits, birds, chickens, everything. It's a great place to hang out for the afternoon or just for a few hours.
I wanna get on them horses. That's what I'd be doing. I'd be asking, can I ride those horses?
In a house. It's more than that.
Behind me is the Holy Trinity Church, where William Shakespeare was baptised and buried. He died on the 23rd of April 1666 and was buried 2 days later on the 25th. He was only 52 years old and he died as the result of alcohol poisoning.
1666. That's some numbers right there.
Poisoning of all things. You can go inside and you can see where he was buried along with his family members. This is Gower Memorial, which celebrates Shakespeare's work, and it was dedicated to the city of Stratford-upon-Avon by Lord Ronald Gower in 1888. He commissioned this memorial and it took him 10 years to sculpt it and to fund it, most of it from his personal finances. Placed around the memorial are 4 statues from Shakespeare's plays. You got Falstaff, Lady Macbeth, Hamlet, and behind me is Prince Hal. What better place to watch a Shakespeare play than in Stratford-upon-Avon? The Royal Shakespeare Company has 3 theatres here in Stratford, and the one behind me is the Royal Shakespeare Theatre. This is the main one, and you can head to the top floor for a pre-show dinner where you get beautiful views over the River Avon. What better way to learn about Stratford-upon-Avon than joining the multi-award-winning Stratford Town Walk? It goes for 2 hours and an adult ticket will only set you back £6. So let's go and join one. So I've just signed up for the town walk and they give you 5 vouchers that you can use at any one of the places on this list. So I highly recommend doing the tour at the start of your trip to make the most of these vouchers. fun and unique thing to do in Stratford-upon-Avon is to go street lamppost hunting. So this one behind me was donated from the state of Israel. There are about 50 different lampposts here, and the reason why they're here is because a man who worked in the town council of Stratford-on-Avon, he asked his peers if they would donate a street lamp as a way of representing the different people that visited the town of Stratford-upon-Avon. So if you don't want to walk all the way around the river, then you can catch Britain's last chain ferry, which will set you back just 50p. So it's dinner time and I'm heading to the Old Thatch Tavern, which dates back to 1470, and it is the only building in the city that has a thatched roof. Located behind me in the centre of town is the Garrick Inn. Now between this one and the Old Thatch Tavern, both claim to be the oldest pubs in Stratford-upon-Avon. But what makes this one special is that it's haunted, and it's also where they believe a bout of plague broke out in 1564, which is the same year that Shakespeare...
So when we're saying a plague, are we talking like the bubonic plague right now? Is that the plague that broke out?
was born. Time to get a swan's eye view of Stratford on this river cruise that goes for 40 minutes and costs just £7 for an adult ticket. Well, that's it from me. I hope you've enjoyed this video about what to do in Stratford-upon-Avon. If you have, leave a nice big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, follow me on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter, and if you have any questions whatsoever, leave them down below and I'll get back to you. Until next time, I bid you farewell. Bye!
Much love to her. Original link will be in the description. Listen, guys, she really just brought us through a lot of history as far as with Shakespeare. It's like when I look at the town, when I look at where he grew up in, or where he grew up in, just the places that he was at, it looks like Massachusetts. Like it looks like Connecticut. You could tell just how much influence England and Britain, period, had in America, especially in the Northeast. Now, obviously, I've never been to Britain, so I just see so much similar things, and you know, with the towns, a lot of the cities, everything kind of being named after places in Britain. It's like you could just, it looks identical in certain spots. I could drive out to, you know, the countryside of Pennsylvania or somewhere in upstate New York, and I could find something somewhat similar to what I've seen here. And I think that's incredible. I think that we have a lot more in common than we think. I do believe that. I definitely do. You know, you could tell that a lot of Britain's culture was definitely brought over to America, but it just still has such a strong influence to this day. Shakespeare, my favorite part about this video was when that man talked about how you remember things from the heart. I mean, that was so simple yet so deep at the same time. And it's like, I heard somebody, see, in my culture, right, of what you would call so-called black, so-called African, so-called black American, right, culture, you have a tradition called hoodoo, right? And you have certain spiritualists who practice hoodoo. And within that culture, I've heard certain teachers within that culture say that you'll know a message is coming from the spirit realm because you'll feel it's almost like it'll come from here, from the solar plexus up through the heart, right? Like, it's like if you think of what you just ate, you'll think it'll come to your mind very quickly. Like, oh, I ate a cookie, I ate a. But when you think of like a deep memory that affects you, it kind of comes from up. You know, like if you guys can kind of understand what I'm saying. So it's like you feel it more. You feel it more, and that's how you truly hold on to things. You feel it. That's when it really leaves its imprint on you. So it's safe to say I somewhat understand what he was saying there. For sure, I would love to be in that class and sit there and just learn, because I can only imagine the jewels that are passed down. Just that clip, I was impressed. I was very impressed. It wasn't like the textbook way of just, it was, you could tell he really loved it. He was really passionate and he knew what he was speaking about. But overall, like I said, this was a great video. It was amazing, and so much history. But with that being said, I will be back with more soon. Original link in the description. If you want more videos like this, make sure you hit that like, that subscribe, and that notification bell. And I'll see you all on the next one. Much love.